Have you ever pondered the terrifying implications of a potential World War III? What could be the possible outcomes? Today, we're probing the unthinkable, a world where the drums of war echo once more on a global scale. It's a disquieting topic, no doubt, but it's crucial to consider the potential fallout of such a conflict. The world has dramatically changed since the last global war, and so have the means of warfare. The consensus among experts? The gravity of a third world war could be unlike anything we've experienced before. With nuclear arsenals, cyber warfare capabilities, and biological weapons at the forefront of modern combat, the landscape of this hypothetical war is as diverse as it is daunting. And the potential for devastation? It's all too real, stretching far beyond immediate casualties and into the realms of economic and societal upheaval. As we delve into this chilling thought experiment, remember that these scenarios are hypothetical, yet the potential for devastation is all too real. Imagine a world where nations resort to nuclear warfare. The outcome? Utter devastation. Now, let's delve into the immediate and long-term effects of nuclear war, painting a picture of a scenario we hope never becomes reality. The immediate effects of nuclear warfare are cataclysmic. A single nuclear detonation can obliterate an entire city, causing millions of casualties within seconds. The flash of light and heat generated by the explosion can cause severe burn injuries and ignite fires, leading to a firestorm that consumes everything in its path. But the devastation wouldn't stop there. The nuclear fallout, or the radioactive particles propelled into the atmosphere by the explosion, would spread far and wide, contaminating land, water, and air. This radiation would cause sickness and death, not only in humans but also in animals and plant life, leading to a collapse of ecosystems. In the long term, the environmental destruction would be profound. The radioactive fallout would render vast areas uninhabitable for centuries, possibly millennia. The explosion would also eject soot and debris into the atmosphere, blocking sunlight and leading to a drastic drop in global temperatures. This phenomenon, known as a nuclear winter, could cause widespread crop failures and famine. Expert predictions on potential targets in a nuclear war scenario are grim. Major cities and military bases around the world would likely be the primary targets, with the aim of causing maximum destruction and disruption. The geopolitical implications would be far-reaching. The balance of power would be shattered, alliances would crumble, and the world order as we know it would be overturned. In this nuclear scenario, the world would face a crisis of unprecedented proportions. The loss of life, the environmental damage, and the societal upheaval would be unimaginable. The fallout would reach every corner of the globe, touching every life, regardless of borders or affiliations. In a nuclear scenario, the world as we know it would change irrevocably. It's a sobering thought, one that underscores the importance of diplomacy, disarmament, and peace-building efforts in our complex and interconnected world. What if the war isn't fought on land, sea, or air, but in the digital realm? Welcome to the era of cyber warfare. Imagine a world where the front lines are not marked by trenches or barricades, but by firewalls and encryption codes. A world where soldiers are replaced by hackers and their weapons are not bullets but lines of malicious code. This is the new face of warfare, cyber warfare. In an increasingly interconnected world, the potential for a global cyber war is a chilling reality. Such a conflict could disrupt critical infrastructure, cripple economies, and disturb the rhythm of our daily lives in ways we can hardly fathom. Power grids could be shut down, leaving entire cities in darkness. Communication networks could be severed, isolating individuals, businesses, and even governments. Financial systems could be tampered with, causing economies to tumble. Transportation networks could be disrupted, halting the flow of goods, services, and people. The lifeblood of modern society, the internet, could be turned into a weapon of mass disruption. Expert predictions paint a grim picture of the scale and impact of such a war. The World Economic Forum, in its 2024 report, warned that a large-scale cyber attack could cause economic damage comparable to a major natural disaster. Meanwhile, the Global Risk Report highlighted the increasing vulnerability of our digital networks, stating that a cyber war could escalate rapidly, with devastating global consequences. The potential impact extends beyond the tangible. Imagine the psychological toll of living in a society where every email could be a weapon, every website a battleground. The fear and uncertainty could be just as damaging as the cyber attacks themselves. The threat of cyber warfare also raises important ethical questions. How do we define an act of war in the digital realm? How should nations respond? What rights and protections should individuals have in such a conflict? In the face of a cyber war, our connected world could be our downfall, but it could also be our savior. After all, it's our collective responsibility to ensure that the tools we've created to bring us closer together aren't used to tear us apart. A less conventional but equally horrifying scenario: biological warfare. A silent killer, spreading fear and chaos. Imagine a world where invisible enemies infiltrate our societies, not through screens or battlefields but through our own bodies. This is the chilling reality of biological warfare. It's a form of combat that turns life itself into a weapon, using biological toxins or infectious agents to cause disease or death. Biological warfare isn't about the immediate, explosive destruction we associate with traditional warfare. It's a slow burn, a creeping terror that unravels societies from the inside out. The consequences are far-reaching and profoundly devastating. Picture, if you will, a global pandemic unleashed intentionally. Not a naturally occurring virus that we struggle to contain, but a weaponized disease designed to spread rapidly and ruthlessly. Healthcare systems would be overwhelmed, unable to keep pace with the onslaught of patients. Hospitals would become war zones, the sick and dying piling up faster than they could be treated. The societal implications are equally grim. As fear and panic spread, communities would fracture, trust would disintegrate. In the face of an invisible enemy, every cough, every sneeze could be perceived as a potential attack. It's a scenario that breeds suspicion and paranoia, eroding the very fabric of society. Expert predictions paint a bleak picture of the potential scale of biological warfare. A weaponized disease could claim millions of lives, and the fallout from such an event could last for generations. It's a sobering thought and a stark reminder of the destructive power of science when used for nefarious purposes. But biological warfare isn't just about the physical toll, it's about psychological warfare too. The fear, the uncertainty, the sheer horror of it all. It's a weapon that leaves deep, lasting scars on the collective psyche, long after the physical wounds have healed. Biological warfare could turn our own bodies into battlegrounds. Our very existence could be weaponized, our survival hanging in the balance. It's a chilling thought, one that reminds us of the terrible potential of the human mind when it's bent on destruction. Beyond the immediate destruction, a third world war could have lasting economic and societal implications. Imagine an economic landscape where the gears of global commerce grind to a halt. This is the potential economic aftermath of a third world war. A global depression, unlike anything we've witnessed, could envelop nations. With major global powers engaged in warfare, the delicate balance of international trade could collapse. This could lead to a sharp decline in global GDP, with countries losing trillions of dollars. This economic turmoil wouldn't just be confined to the bourses and trade markets. It would permeate everyday life. Global supply chains could be disrupted, leading to a scarcity of essential commodities, skyrocketing prices, and widespread poverty. Picture a world where a loaf of bread or a gallon of gas becomes a luxury. The societal implications are equally harrowing. A world at war could see mass displacement on an unprecedented scale. War-torn regions could witness an exodus of people seeking refuge in safer territories. This could lead to a global refugee crisis, straining the resources and infrastructures of host countries. Moreover, the societal fabric could be ripped apart. The constant threat of war, the loss of loved ones, and a scarcity of resources could breed societal unrest. Protests and civil disobedience could become commonplace, further destabilizing societies. Additionally, the war could exacerbate existing inequalities. Vulnerable communities might bear the brunt of the war, with their access to food, healthcare, and education severely compromised. This could lead to a widening gap between the haves and the have-nots, sowing seeds of discontent and resentment. In the aftermath of war, the rebuilding process could be slow and painstaking. Economies and societies would need to be rebuilt from scratch, a task that could take decades if not centuries. A third world war could reshape our societies and economies in unimaginable ways. The cost of war is not just counted in lives lost or cities destroyed, but also in the lasting scars it leaves on our economies and societies. All these scenarios paint a grim picture, but they underscore the vital importance of peace and diplomacy. Conflict on this scale would be catastrophic, and it's up to us, as a global community, to recognize and mitigate these risks. Through understanding and cooperation, we can work to avoid such a devastating conflict. As we've seen, the potential consequences of World War III are too grave to contemplate. It's a reminder of the importance of peace, diplomacy, and understanding in our increasingly interconnected world. Like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell.